I was going to be living the dream with him. And in reality, it was not like that at all.
Hardest.
In my mind, I had all these visions of I was going to be the star wife. I was going to be on the tour bus with him.
Hardest. We've been through a few things over the years, but, to see your child go through that is hard.
She was the daughter of a country music legend, seemingly living a real-life fairy tale. She had just married the love of her life. But less than a year later, that fairy tale would shatter in an instant. For years, as Mattie Jackson Seligman navigated an unimaginable loss, many have wondered how she found the strength to go on. Now, she's sharing the heart-wrenching journey that revealed a resilience nobody, not even her famous father, could have predicted. This isn't just a story about loss. It's a story about what comes after. It's about a strength many suspected was there, a profound resilience born from the deepest pain. And today, we're uncovering the full, unfiltered truth of her journey from the darkest abyss back into the light. What happens when the life you meticulously planned is erased in a single moment? And how do you begin to write a new story on the empty pages? Stay with us as we explore the harrowing and ultimately inspiring journey of Mattie Jackson. To understand just how devastating the fall was, you have to see how perfect life seemed at the start. Mattie Jackson, the eldest daughter of country music icon Alan Jackson and his high school sweetheart wife Denise, grew up in a world that seemed blessed. Born on June 19, 1990, she was raised not in the shadow of her father's fame, but in the warm glow of a tight-knit family that prioritized humility and compassion. While the world knew Alan Jackson for hits like Chattahoochee and Remember When, to Mattie, he was simply Dad. He was the man who wrote songs inspired by his daughter's weddings and who built a life grounded in the simple truths he sang about. The Jackson household, though privileged, was one where values were everything. Mattie and her younger sisters, Ali and Danny, were taught to be grounded and gracious. Mattie, a natural leader, took those lessons to heart. She pursued her own path with determination, earning a degree in creative writing from the University of Tennessee, which showcased a talent for storytelling that would one day become her salvation. Life seemed to be unfolding like one of her dad's songs. Then she met Ben Seligman. He was a bright, charismatic assistant district attorney for Davidson County in Tennessee, a man dedicated to serving others, especially victims of human trafficking. Their meeting was the kind of story you tell your grandkids about. They were introduced, and a casual encounter quickly blossomed into a deep, profound love. Their connection was immediate. Ben was more than just a partner. He was a kindred spirit who fit into the Jackson family seamlessly. He was the son-in-law who would eagerly go fishing with Alan, becoming a cherished part of their lives. For Mattie, he was the answer to a prayer. They married in a beautiful ceremony in October 2017, surrounded by family and friends, young, in love, and standing at the start of a long, happy life together. They were basking in the bliss of their new beginning. They had no idea that just 11 months later, that perfect picture would be violently wiped clean. It was Labor Day weekend, 2018, in Florida. The setting was idyllic. Family and friends gathered on Alan Jackson's boat to celebrate the holiday. For Mattie and Ben, it was just another beautiful day in their first year of marriage, a year filled with love and the easy comfort of knowing you found your person. Ben, with his famously cheerful personality, was the life of the party. But, in a single, terrifying instant, everything changed. The details are both ordinary and catastrophic, a reminder of how quickly a life can be altered. Ben was on the boat dock, helping a woman onto the boat. The dock was wet. He just slipped, falling and hitting his head. In those first few moments, there was concern, but not panic. It seemed like the kind of fall you shake off. Ben was awake, though disoriented. But it quickly became clear this was no minor injury. 2 off-duty EMTs nearby recognized how serious it was and urged them to get to an emergency room immediately. What followed was a dizzying descent into a medical nightmare. At the hospital, neurosurgeons delivered the grave news. Ben's brain was swelling. It was critical. He was rushed into the first of multiple surgeries, and doctors placed him in a medically induced coma to give his brain a chance to heal. For the next 12 days, life became a blur of ICU machines, hushed conversations, and desperate prayers. It was, in Matty's words, a really chaotic couple of weeks, a torturous limbo between hope and fear. The family rallied, holding on to every sliver of optimism. They began to prepare for a long road to recovery, years of physical therapy, and a new normal they would face together. The day came when doctors began to wake Ben up. The family held their breath, praying. For a fleeting moment, it looked like they had their miracle. But then, the unthinkable happened. A blood clot broke off and traveled to his brain, causing multiple catastrophic strokes and severe, irreversible brain damage. Matty described the whiplash of that moment as unimaginable. Less than 24 hours later, Ben's heart began to fail. September 12, 2018, just 3 weeks shy of their first wedding anniversary, Ben Seligman passed away at the age of 28. The fairy tale had shattered. At just 28 years old, Matty Jackson Seligman was a widow. The future they had so joyfully planned had vanished. In the aftermath of Ben's death, the world stopped making sense. Matty was in a free fall through a grief so profound it was disorienting. The future she had seen so clearly was now a thick, impenetrable fog. Every plan and every dream was now a ghost, a painful reminder of a life that was supposed to be. The pain came with an onslaught of questions, directed at the one place she had always found comfort, her faith. How could a loving God let this happen? Why, after praying so fervently for a miracle, was she left with a broken heart? She later wrote about these agonizing questions, asking, "When I am on the floor, writhing in tears with no idea what the rest of my life will look like, where is God?" This wasn't a quiet grief. It was loud, angry, and raw. Matty has been brutally honest about being furious with God. The tragedy forced a spiritual crisis. As she explained, when something this severe happens, you really can't stay lukewarm. People, I think, are either so angry with God that they turn away, or they just dive all in. For Matty, it was a terrifying dance between the two. The anger was real, but underneath it was a desperate need for the very God she was furious with. "I don't know how else to describe it," she said, "but especially in the beginning, I just craved God's presence." It was a paradox of the soul, being angry at the only one you believe can save you. Her family, including her famous father, could only watch, heartbroken and helpless. Alan and Denise Jackson later wrote about this feeling of utter helplessness, of wanting to take their daughter's pain away, but being completely unable to. Their love was a pillar of support, but the journey through the valley of grief was one Matty had to walk herself. One of her greatest fears was that Ben's death and her immense pain would be for nothing. That fear propelled her to demand that God make her grief help others in some way. This demand for purpose would become a critical turning point. But first, she had to survive the darkness and learn how to exist in a world without Ben. This journey of navigating such a profound loss is one of unimaginable difficulty. If Matty's story of seeking purpose in pain resonates with you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience and hope. Your support helps us share these important narratives. There's a point in deep grief where the terrain begins to shift. It's not a sudden sunrise, but a slow, almost imperceptible lightening of the sky. For Matty, this turning point wasn't one single event, but a series of small, intentional steps toward a fragile hope. The first crucial step was writing. With a creative writing degree and a soul overflowing with pain, Matty turned to journaling. The blank page became a sanctuary where she could pour out her anger, questions, and sorrow without judgment. These raw, unfiltered entries were a lifeline. This private act of survival slowly blossomed into a public mission. She began to see that her story could be a lifeline for others drowning in their own loss. This realization was the seed that would grow into her first book, Lemons on Friday. The title is a powerful metaphor. It's not about making lemonade, a cheerful, simplistic fix. It's about being handed life's sourest lemons on a Friday, when you have no energy left. It's about grappling with the bitterness, trusting that purpose can still emerge. Another pivotal moment came from a surprising collaboration. Matty had written lyrics that captured her struggle and approached her famous father, a titan of country music, with her words. She was terrified he'd tell her they were awful, but Alan Jackson did the opposite. He saw the beauty and pain in his daughter's words and composed a melody, creating the song Racing the Dark. It was their first ever songwriting collaboration, a tangible symbol of her father's support. Alan later expressed immense pride, stating, "I'm really surprised how well she was able to handle all that. I know I couldn't have done what she's done." Even before the tragedy, a seed of purpose had been planted. Matty had co-founded a philanthropic brand called Nashville to support vulnerable women and children, orphans, widows, and victims of human trafficking. Ben had been instrumental in the early days. After his death, Nashville took on a heartbreakingly personal meaning. Suddenly, Matty was a widow, one of the very women she had set out to help. Her mission became her life, a way to channel her pain into purpose and turn her personal tragedy into a force for good. As the all-consuming wave of grief began to recede, it left behind a forever changed landscape. But in this new terrain, Matty began to build. Her purpose, forged in fire, became clearer. She was no longer just Alan Jackson's daughter. She was an author, speaker, and a powerful advocate for those navigating heartbreak. Her book, Lemons on Friday, Trusting God Through My Greatest Heartbreak, was released in November 2021. It was more than a memoir. It was an invitation into her raw and honest journey through grief. The book didn't offer easy answers. Instead, it wrestled with the hard questions, resonating deeply with anyone whose life hadn't gone as planned. The book's publication brought her story to a national audience. She launched a podcast, Enjoy Life with Matty Jackson, where she interviews others about how they intentionally choose joy. Her message was clear. Life is tough and can leave you broken, but you don't have to live broken. Her work with Nashville also deepened, becoming a powerful force in her community. She found a special connection with groups like the Modern Widows Club, understanding that what these women needed most was to know they weren't invisible in their pain. Through it all, she learned how to hold the paradox of moving forward while carrying the memory of the person she lost with her. She described it as a strange balance, but one that is really sweet once you learn how to hold both at once. She knew Ben would be proud of her work. Her journey revealed what many had suspected, that behind the famous name was a woman of extraordinary strength. The revelation wasn't a dark secret, but a testament to the human heart's capacity to find purpose in profound pain. For 3.5 years, Matty prayed. She prayed for her heart to heal, and she dared to pray for the chance to love again. She'd heard from other widows that the heart could expand to love two people equally, though differently, and she hoped desperately that it could be true for her. In late 2021, that prayer was answered. A friend introduced her to Connor Smith. A casual happy hour turned into 4 hours of conversation, and a new chapter unexpectedly began. Matty described Connor as more of an answer to prayer than I sometimes think he even realizes. Opening. Her heart to new love was a courageous step, but in Connor, she found a partner who understood. In September 2022, he proposed. In May 2023, Matty and Connor were married in Palm Beach, Florida. It was a joyous celebration of hope fulfilled. Her father, Alan Jackson, shared a family photo, officially welcoming Connor into the family and quoting his own song, Livin' on Love. For Matty, it wasn't an ending to her story with Ben, but a new chapter. As she explained, This part of my life is not God's plan B, it's just chapter 2. The blessings continued. In February 2024, Maddie and Connor announced they were expecting their first child. She shared her joy, saying, "I have a feeling 2024 may give a run for its money." On June 20th, 2024, their son, Wesley Allen Smith, was born. His middle name, AE, tribute to her father, symbolized the beautiful continuation of family and love. Matty announced his arrival with overwhelming gratitude, writing, "There is no greater honor in life than being chosen by God to be your mum, and no sweeter joy than watching your daddy adore you and protect you already." Matty Jackson's journey is a profound testament to the coexistence of grief and joy. The pain of losing Ben will never disappear, but it no longer defines her. Her life reveals the ultimate truth many of us long suspected, that even after the most devastating loss, it is possible to find love again, build a new life, and experience a joy made all the richer by the sorrow that came before. The story of Matty Jackson Seligman Smith isn't simply about tragedy. It's a powerful narrative of resilience, faith, and the defiant power of hope. She was handed one of life's most profound losses, one that threatened to extinguish her light. But instead of being consumed by the darkness, she chose to walk through it. What we all long suspected about the daughter of a country music legend wasn't a hidden scandal. It was the suspicion that beneath the poised exterior lay a reservoir of immense strength. The revelation is her incredible capacity to hold devastating grief in one hand and profound joy in the other. It's her ability to honor the love she lost, while courageously opening her heart to the love she found. From a young widow lost in a fog of sorrow, she has emerged as a beacon for countless others. Through her writing, her advocacy, and her raw honesty, she has shown the world that you don't have to live broken. Her journey, from the depths of despair to the joys of a new marriage and motherhood, is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to heal, to love, and to find joy in life once again. Thank you for joining us for this incredible story. If you were moved by Matty's journey, please consider sharing this video with someone who might need to hear a message of hope. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell for more stories that inspire and uplift. Until next time, take care.